Can't see back there.
I can't see anything.
You know what we need? Lights. Because we often run into the night and we don't want the fun to stop there, we're going to go ahead and add some lights to the track. Now, last year we did add a few lights. These lights up here on the corner of the barn, and also what we call the triple tree, which is 3 floodlights here up on this pole, knowing that they were wholly insufficient, and they are. So now we're going to get really serious about the lighting, get this thing lit up like it's daytime. So we have procured this big Mama Jamba right here. This is a light for parking lots. It's 250 watts of LED. Now, of course, LEDs put out more lumens per watt than, say, an old incandescent or even a halogen or mercury halide light. So for an incandescent light to put out as many lumens as this does, it would consume about 1.21 gigawatts. So that we're going to mount up on the roof of the barn, and we're going to set it back from the edgeways for reasons to be explained later. And that should light up pretty much the entire center of the track, most of the track. We are going to add some fill lights though, because even though this big light is about 33,000 lumens, because of the placement, it's not going to get light to everywhere that we want it. Specifically the pit area here, like where the driver's stand is, it doesn't have to be super bright here, but can't be completely dark where you're tripping over stuff. Plus we're probably going to end up having like a pit bench here as well. And also the extreme left and right of the track here where the turns are might not be quite as well lit, so another reason for the fill lights to add just a little extra there. And of course we have the triple tree because we know that far turn is probably going to need a little extra as well, and maybe possibly something here on the flat rock turn. We're not really sure yet on that one. The fill light on the right side of the track is just a dual lamp fixture for 2 floodlights. We added an outdoor electrical box to the barn to attach it to. We're just finishing up the wiring right now. This is the same setup that's existing on the left side of the track that we're using for a fill light on that side. And we got, how are you doing? You got one LED there, you got one incandescent. She goes both ways. Swapping out the lamps on the fixture on the other end of the barn. Meanwhile, Eddie is hinting at us that we should stop working on this and play with him, I guess. We gotta move some of the storage stuff over this way so we can continue to run our electrical for the corner lights that are on the outside of the barn to light up that side of the track. So we're just moving all this stuff over here. I don't even know what all this stuff is. Probably don't need this, but books. Yeah, definitely books.
We don't need books.
While we were shuffling around a bunch of crap in storage trying to get these cables up, we found a few things that weren't crap, which was our old Kyosho Inferno MPs, the 8-scale nitro buggies. We haven't run those in like 20 years probably. We also found our Associated GTs, which was the first generation gas stadium trucks. So yeah, those are old too, haven't run in 20 years. So I think we're going to get those things running again sometime soon. Okay, we're at the point where we need to stop running this one cable because we need to put the big light on top of the barn, because the cable's going to come through right about here, and then that way we can run both cables concurrently, for lack of a better term, to the other side of the barn. We don't have the correct hardware, like basically a light pole to mount this with. We're just going to use what we got, and we have this bracket here, which I think is like for a flagpole or something like that. And then of course there's the socket in the end of the light where the pole would go. So instead we're going to use, in lieu of a pole, a piece of PVC instead. One end will go into that flagpole bracket, the other into the socket at the end of the light, and then mount this whole plate on top, on the outside of course. Even though this PVC is pretty strong, that light fixture is pretty heavy. It's got a big ballast in there and so forth. So we're going to fill up the pipe with concrete to give it a little bit extra strength. However, there is a cord that's got to run down through the middle. So we're adding a piece of conduit in the middle, put the concrete around that, and then that way we have a route for the cord to run down. On the end that's facing down, we left the conduit a little bit short. That way we can cut a notch in here to route the cord out, since we're not going to run it straight down through at that spot. That way we can leave a little bit of extra in case we need to pivot this or maybe raise it a little bit. Peeling the tape off the other end where we made that donut out of drywall that centers the conduit and plugs up the end, and it turned out perfect. We're attaching this with lag bolts, but we're sure to put in a couple chunks of 2x4 on the inside for those lag bolts to bite into, something more substantial than just the 1/2-inch OSB sheeting. And we had this about 5 or 6 feet back from the edge of the roof. And the idea here, the light's going to attract a lot of bugs, and the driver's stand is just below here. We don't want all those bugs in our face, so moving it back, maybe the congregation will stay in front of the light here, which will be behind us and above us instead. At least that's the idea. Back to the electrical, adding a junction box up here where the wire from the big light comes through the roof. And we're wiring these up independently. We're not daisy chaining them together. That way we can switch on the light separately. So if we're out there doing something that's not racing, we can just turn on select lights. Alright, so looking at that there. That's where we're going into the barn using whatever that's called. We had to run conduit, redo it underground over to our triple tree. So we got our stuff up into the conduit through the, whatever they call that, all buttoned up. We're good there. So we got the trench filled in here, and it's a much bigger, wider swath than we were hoping for. We don't really have the right tools to do a trench for a little piece of conduit. Anyway, no big deal. This will all go back in by next year. And this triple tree here, this has always had plug on it like this, and we used to just run an extension cord to the barn. Now we could have hardwired this in, but I figured, you know what, probably I could use power out here anyway. So when that switches on, that'll be powered, and if I have to use something out here like a drill or something like that, I got power, which is cool. And then obviously just plug this into there to get the lights on, and then also that runs down to that direction over there where we got lights on the back side of the tree to make sure that that turn is well lit, and that the light that's on top of the barn not going to get a shadow from the branches and that kind of thing. We got our 4 switches wired up. Yeah, wiring up a 4-gang work box, it's a lot of fun. And then we're going to give this a try, make sure everything works. When everything's good, we'll go ahead and put the cover on.
Yeah!
Okay, now east end.
Okay, east end of the barn. Yeah.
Okay, and then triple tree. Triple tree.
out.
Wait, my fault. Hold on.
Yeah, they're on now. You're good.
All right, and then what do we call it? Mamba Jamba or yeah, the big one.
Yeah.
Lights are on and stable, Captain. Woohoo! Let's see some fucking action!